My boss is threatening to fire the employee who has the worst posture. I have a hunch it might just be me. Hey YouTube, welcome back to another AlphaStar cast. I've been uploading a few of our tournament VODs more recently, but I hope you've been enjoying a small variety, although I do know most of you are only here for AlphaStar. However, I need to pause and ask a quick favor, because if you are coming to my channel for AlphaStar, you enjoy watching these videos, I'm begging you, please hit the subscribe button. And not just for the sake of like good well-doing of my own YouTube channel, I have a bet now, a formalized bet with another content creator named Wardy, who also does Starcraft 2 videos. Our YouTube subscriber count is fairly close, and we've decided to race to 10K. What's on the line, you might ask? Well, $1 whole and a lot of pride. So please subscribe to the channel. Let's beat Wardy to 10,000 subscribers, and let's get on with the cast. So to the top left, we have that blue AI. Cue the music, because you know her well. It's AlphaStar. And a curiosity, because to the bottom right in this PvP, we have an red Protoss, the unranked player. This one stood out to me because there are some of the unranked games from when AlphaStar was in its earlier development, playing against diamond players and platinum players. But this replay actually comes out of the final pack, aka the AlphaStar is Grandmaster pack. And I guess what we should explain about that real quick is you can be unranked and have master / grandmaster level MMR. What most likely happened here with this player is either this is an account they don't use too often, or maybe it's just the first time they've hopped on for the season when this game was played. But to be clear, this is not one of the earlier versions of AlphaStar, unless Deepmind has completely miscategorized it, which I don't think they did, because they did a very thorough job of removing names from the overlays, as you can see here, as well as taking the chat out of the game. So I don't think they mistakenly put this in the wrong folder. So this makes it really interesting to me for a couple of different reasons. One is, okay, we don't know the true identity of this player. We don't know whether it's Masters, Grandmasters, and we don't know how they're going to hold up to AlphaStar. But it's a PvP. We should actually talk about AlphaStar's build for a moment more than anything else, because this is the most human-looking AlphaStar build I have ever seen. And I say this with no hyperbole, because for the majority of AlphaStar's existence, in PvP specifically, AlphaStar had a habit, well, still has, I would even argue, a habit of doing a one gateway expand very fast into a second gateway follow-up later. And if you don't watch a lot of Starcraft 2, that doesn't mean a lot, but what you should know is AlphaStar has always played a little bit greedy, and very different from the hundreds and thousands of games of PvP we've seen over the years where 2 gates are the standard opening. So here we are with AlphaStar playing one of the most normalized versions I've ever seen. Takes away some of that AlphaStar panaz, but has a Stargate, has 2 gateways. Not a fan of the Adepts, and I'll talk about that more in a moment, but for the most part, this opening's pretty solid, and that's not at all. I don't know what that... I guess the pylon's gonna let them see whether they cancel the Stargate or not, which is kind of cool. But here's why I'm not a fan of Adepts. They're not gonna win this fight. Every single time it comes down to Stalkers versus Adepts, 2-on-2, the Stalkers win the fight. The Adepts can try and move past and go to the mineral lines and thus keep our red player at home, but in this instance, these have already been kind of caught out early, so there's not much damage potential here at all. There's also been a very quick shield battery placed to be canceled at the top of the ramp, and I really do think that this pylon was built for scouting. It looks a little silly. Obviously, there's the threat of a potential warp in at some point, but never mind that. This is just here to see whether that Stargate was canceled upon the scout or not. Realizing there's a commitment to this, our human player in this instance is actually feeling confident enough to take a Nexus. And I gotta say, just a quick aside here, a lot of the shield battery, the reaction, the scouting, so much of this has been on point that even if I didn't know this was coming from the Grandmaster replay pack, this is such a perfect way to be handling PvP right now. I'm really enjoying seeing what we're seeing out of our red player, unranked or not. This was without question a higher level player. So with the pylon being taken down, it's 100 minerals gone. Not sure why. Wait, is that actually... Oh, AlphaStar fully walled off. That's why. I was a little confused because that looks like there's enough gap to walk through, but I guess not. So some small errors on AlphaStar's part. But coming back over here, the Oracle coming in. This is, of course, in a patch to the game where the Oracles are armored, so they'll take bonus damage from Stalkers. Must be very careful about getting in there. 2 Oracles can kind of bypass the shield battery defense, but There's no way these can handle the Stalkers, and realizing this, AlphaStar is not going to commit. Unfortunately, a little behind on their own Nexus, but not super duper far behind, so I don't think this will take them out of the game, but we are going to see a definitive lead here for Red for a short period of time. And even though the Oracles want to try and cancel that, you can see some good reaction from the Stalkers. Predicting their pathing keeps them from doing that. 2 Adepts on the other side of the field is also some pretty nice harassment, but really nothing that needs to be committed. Could just be using the shades to scout the timings. And to the top of the ramp though, and there's no defense, but a couple Stalkers. There's going to be a couple of probes blitzed down fairly easily. I mean, AlphaStar has units to defend with, so these Adepts are going to get cleaned up. But they snag a nice, like, what, 2, 3 probes? Not too bad. Sadly, these Oracles have not achieved anything really on the other side of the map. The defense here has been pretty solid on our humans' part. Again, just trying to keep these from getting those probe kills. This is the lead our Red player thinks that they have. Of course, AlphaStar kept producing probes, so it's not like they're super far behind. They're just long distance mining versus not long distance mining. The probe count is relatively close. A couple of shots here from AlphaStar trying to get a probe kill. Not going to work. The body block out of the Stalkers here, fantastic. One thing people often forget about is Adepts have fairly short range, actually. So hard to get close to the probes to even fight them. We have Blink and more notably +1 coming out of our Red Protoss. I think that when you look at everything on the field right now, AlphaStar does have more numbers, but they're not necessarily better. For example, supplying these Oracles has been, I don't want to say wasted. That's a little too harsh of a judgment on it, but they're not accomplishing anything. However, they've also not died, so their usefulness is yet to be determined. They might land the sickest stasis trap in the middle of the battle, or they might hit those mineral lines while these guys are fighting out in the middle of the open, in the middle of the map. I wouldn't call these Oracles wasted, but so far they have not accomplished their worth. In fact, they're being chased back here by hallucination. We also have 4 Stalkers checking at them with a Blink. That's going to be a kill for sure. Nice. One of the Oracles goes down. Big energy loss on this too. No revelation even in retaliation. Gonna scout this pylon up here, and unfortunately there's another Oracle all for nothing. So we can now confidently say this was a bad play for AlphaStar. The follow-up's not bad though. I like the transition to get those Immortals out. There's a couple of sentries here as well, so if the Stalker attack was committed, yeah, it would not be able to stick around. You see Blinks out immediately. The warp in to start shaking things up, but with the 2 Oracles having been removed from play, it's a pretty safe bet there wasn't some magical 3rd Oracle that was made and has been hiding this whole time. I think Red's pretty safe to pull back from the defense, and between a shield battery or 2 and a warp in plus a 3rd Nexus, they're in no real danger. In fact, they could just perform a soft cannon AlphaStar and just make sure AlphaStar never takes a 3rd base comfortably and just win this game off of that if they wanted to, but of course, that's not how this game's going to play out. AlphaStar's going for a Dark Shrine. We're going to see some Archons, maybe some DTs. AlphaStar with that warp in, doing some attempted harass on the other side of the field, but I say attempted because the worker kill count's not that great. The Warp Prism, goes down with the Adepts inside of it too. That's a little unfortunate there for AlphaStar, but talked about it before, reiterating it again. AlphaStar, through all of its races, has its greatest strength really lay in its macro. Not through crazy micro, not through incredible warp prisms, but through its production, through its income. So with a couple of shield batteries, I mean, this defense looks so solid. I can't see Red breaking this in 100 years. Not with what it currently has. However, it's not about breaking them, right? It's this 3rd base. It's the potential 4th base. And it's as long as AlphaStar never gets a 3rd, Red's going to win this game based on money alone. But that's getting really far ahead of ourselves. And while I've seen some PvPs kind of devolve like that, we actually see Red getting really aggressive, trying to blink. Possibly was going to try and blink up to the high ground. Those force fields may have ruined those plans. Double Archon drops are certainly unexpected, but DT's also a good way to retaliate. This kills quite a few workers from blue, but luckily, and this is kind of funny to consider, AlphaStar had mined out enough minerals out of the main. No way. Oh, I thought that was going to die. AlphaStar had mined out so many minerals out of the main base. There actually weren't that many probes to kill. Oftentimes the consequences, yeah, there's more probes and they're clumped up, so you're going to take more damage from something that splashes like an Archon. But as you can see here, the worker count, while suffering, is not suffering nearly as bad as the lack of a 3rd. So what's going to happen right now is I think AlphaStar is going to push. AlphaStar kind of has to, but there's a couple things to consider. Keep in mind, A, the type of army supply is very different going into this battle, but also B, AlphaStar doesn't have upgrades. Red's about halfway to +2 weapons, and those Zealots are going to be a big deal for this fight. Not to mention the Archon's trying to clear them out. I do feel good for red in this position, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. An observer's been brought out here too, so DTs will not be a cinch on this fight. But I mean, there's Warframes coming in, these Zealots defending, not enough force fields, and even if there are, the Archons break through the force fields like it's nothing at all. Not a single Guardian shield, not there would have helped in this battle, and it's an absolute slaughter as our unranked player pushes AlphaStar back, forcing out a full recall for that army supply difference. The lack of a proper third, so much is going against AlphaStar in this game. I mean, the saturation's unreal. The income's like 500 minerals per minute better for one player versus the other. That is an extra 3 stalkers, 5 zealots, you name it. The army size just keeps growing, and even though I love the idea of these DTs sneaking across the field to do some ninja tactics, the main force is here. And even though there are shield batteries down, there are just not enough units to heal with said shield batteries. The zealots get us surround, which is so awkward to see. The Archons don't stand a chance. Even pushing up to the high ground here, not making time to kill any of the probes. I kind of like this actually out of our human. If they stopped over here to kill the probes, it might have given AlphaStar time to warp in some defenses, but not quite the case. There's even an observer that's been brought out here, so DTs will not be a defensive force that can be used. I think while we don't see too many games where AlphaStar loses, we are going to, funny enough, see the unranked player be the one to take down AlphaStar. GG. Guys, if you like this video, please, I'm begging you, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 10K before Wardy. Thank you guys so much for watching so far. I hope we can win this race together, and I'll see you on the next one.